How's it going, Alex?
Nice to meet you, man. Thanks for hopping on the call.
Yeah, absolutely.
How can I help you?
So long story short, like I've kind of tried to develop like a marketing strategy through other resources like Instagram, TikTok, and so on. I was in Elevated Mentorship for a year. I'm not
Hmm.
sure if you're familiar with that with Daniel. Were you in there or no?
No, I know who you're
Oh,
talking about though, but I've never been in his program. You're talking about the new era, new era.
yeah, exactly,
Okay,
exactly.
cool.
So, in terms of Instagram and TikTok, like you definitely can like scale new business. However, I never mastered the whole like problem solution, thing that everyone was harping on. In terms of editing video, I got it. Like I've had multiple videos hit like really,
Hmm.
really well. When I seen yours, it seemed like it kind of more it focused on outside sources outside of social media to scale business.
Yeah.
And I understand that it's more for like a barbershop. I
Hmm.
kind of want to just get into the program to see if there's other avenues of scaling new business prior to me opening up a barbershop.
For sure. Yeah. So the question, I guess, is there other ways to bring in clients besides social media? Like,
Correct.
okay. Yeah. Well, the answer is yes. That for sure. And I think that um, I think the hard part about social media and listening to all these different people out there is that they're always going to give you typically what worked for them, you know.
Right.
So I don't try to talk negatively about anybody else, because I know that like the reason why they're probably selling that idea, that course, whatever, is because that's what worked for them, you know.
Right.
And then there's going to be people that try what I say and maybe they don't get results from it, but what I talk about is what worked for me, and I do it every day, you know. So
Right. Right.
I built a barbershop, multi-million-dollar shop, without social media, you know, and I talk about not social media because that's what worked for me, you know,
Right.
and so we get a lot of our clients through Google and through paid ads. Like we do social media, it's just not our primary acquisition method. We get clients through other ways. I look at the way we use social media is as a way to like reinforce the other stuff. So we get in front of clients primarily through paid ads, but the way I think about it is like they're gonna see our ad and they're gonna be like, "Who the hell is this?" you know, or if you
Right.
if,
Right.
if you DM them, they're not gonna respond right away. In a lot of cases, they're gonna go to your profile and be like, "Who is this person DMing me?" And then they're gonna start looking at your stuff, and they're gonna be like, "Oh, okay, this guy's pretty good," you know. So
Right.
that's how I think about social media. I don't look at it as the primary channel, but I do think that it's worth it to be active on there, and I think long term it will bring you clients. But if it's not something that I wouldn't start there if I was looking to fill my chair today. Like I would be looking
Okay.
at like the faster methods. That makes sense.
And then with yeah, yeah, yeah. With elevated mentorship, it was very so they have like hundreds of people. So it was more like, oh well, if it's working for them, go try that. Or it's working for them, go try that. If it's working for them, go try that. So they do try to explore different, variations of different people. But it like it's very it's different. Like they're kind of like, oh, if we can get all barbers on board to raising the price of a minimum of $100, we'll just change the barber industry in general. I'm like, whoa, like that's a lot. Like, like so
Um,
I don't want to say a cult, but definitely a vibe-ish,
Hey, I'm all for it, man. The more we can charge, the better. I think barber shops and barbers have been charging too little for way too long.
way too long. Yeah.
But I think there's other factors that influence haircut prices besides like how good you are at social media, you know.
Right.
Um, but I will say that, damn, I forgot what I was gonna say. Um, Social media, I don't know, man. It's just not my favorite way, and it's I think it's important. It's a good skill to have, but like when you only post pictures of haircuts,
Mm-hmm.
you're just gonna get like other barbers like following you, you know.
Right.
And it's like, are they, unless they're coming to get their haircut, like I don't really care about other barbers following it, you know. And oh, that's what I was gonna say. So you also have to think about it as what this is what worked for them, so that's why they're preaching that. But also like their goal. Like I don't really listen to people that don't own a barbershop or don't own multiple locations, because that's their advice might not apply to what my situation, you know? So I think that that's really like a crucial thing that every person needs to think about, because there's going to be more and more people coming into this industry doing like what he's doing, what I do, like education, and it's going to get to a point, if not there already, where you're like, who do I listen to, you know? So
Right.
I think you need to think about it like, what is your goal? And then is the person that is trying to sell me this course, this mentorship, are they where I want to be? You know, if not, I don't know that I would like. I think you can learn from everybody, but I don't know that I would like put that much weight in their advice. You know, because I'm trying to build a barbershop. I have 2 locations currently. We want to get to as many as possible. So
Right.
I don't
Right.
really listen to guys that have never owned a shop. I don't listen to guys that are just barbers that work for somebody else. I don't listen to guys that are just in a suite by themselves, because almost nothing that they're saying is going to apply to the problems
It
and the
doesn't.
challenges that I have in my business, you know?
Yeah, it definitely doesn't align with like the same vision you have for sure.
Yeah, and I think you can learn from anybody, right? But
Mhm.
I wouldn't put a lot of weight in their advice, you know? Like I can join the mentorship, you know, and I can learn about how to edit videos, but it's not going to help me like if it's not going to help my ads convert better. I mean, maybe it will. I don't know. But that's the kind of the way I think about it, you know, like because
Understood.
there's so many people out there selling all these different ideas, and I think every you can learn from just anybody, but you have to think about it through the lens of this is my goal. Is what this person has done align with like where I'm trying to go? And if not, still listen, but just there's a caveat, you know, like I'm only going to listen so much, you know.
With the grain of salt, huh? Yeah, there you go.
So I mean, yeah, does that make sense?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. So I mean, I don't know anything about his program or what he's done, but what is your goal? What are you trying to do?
So initially with the program, I wanted to scale business just enough for me to feel like, okay, I'm in a comfortable financial position to start opening up, to open up a barbershop. And then the ultimate goal is to have at least 3 different locations.
Mm-hmm.
And, and so now I'm kind of like moving forward with that.
Okay. Yeah. I think that you have to be very good at marketing to build a barbershop. Um,
Mhm.
I think that's the first skill that every barbershop owner needs to learn, because it's tough. Like and you'll see. You know, I got how many followers would you say you have on like your largest platform?
Shit. I would say probably only like 3,000.
Okay, so you kind of learn real quick that followers don't equal dollars when you're trying to build a barbershop.
Right.
You need people
Exactly.
to walk in the door, sit down in your chair, and get a haircut. That's what equates to dollars. So
Hmm.
social media is great. It certainly helps your ads and stuff convert better, um, but it's not going to help you build a barbershop, not long term.
Absolutely.
You need to be able to get people in your area to find out who you are and convince them to come in and spend money with you. So that's what I do. You know, I do it every
Yeah,
day.
yeah.
Um, and you have to be good at marketing to build a barbershop, because you got to get your name out there, and you got not just be able to do it for yourself. I'm assuming you're a barber as well.
Yeah, yeah.
You are, okay. So you got to be able to do it for yourself, but then it's another skill to be able to fill other people's chairs, right? Because
Absolutely.
you know, like none of my barbers post on social media like ever. Right? I mean,
Right.
they don't have to. I keep them busy, but it's like it's different when you have to fill somebody else's chair too, in addition to yours, and then it becomes even harder to when you have multiple locations now. It's like, oh,
Right.
now one was easy compared to trying to fill two and beyond, you know. So there's degrees of skill, you know, in getting from 0 to 1. Like just building one location, tough, right? But eventually you'll do it. And then when you go to two, and it's like, oh shit, now this is like, I have to be so much better at everything, you know?
Right, right,
Because the skills, that's the hard part too. Is like sometimes the things that get you from 0 to 1 are not going to be the thing that gets you from 1 to 2. Because you can just work your ass off every day. You know, like I worked 7 days a week for like 6 months straight, no days off. You know, to get the shop going, and you know it worked because in the beginning you can just outwork the problem. You know, like I was young. I was like 25 when I started, and I didn't have any responsibility. I was just like, let's go. I just in the shop every day, all day, every day. Didn't turn anybody away. Just like, yeah, I got you. You know, um, but that is not gonna be the thing that builds two locations. You know, because
right.
you have to be in. You can't be in two places at once, even with just
No.
two. So now that it's a different skill you need, not just like
Hmm.
it's great. You're a hard worker. That's awesome, but it's not going to build two locations. Now you need a team. So now the skill needs to become getting other people to do it on your behalf. So that,
Right.
so that's, I
And
mean,
keep them motivated to do so, right?
yeah, yeah, because people,
Um,
especially barbers, tough, you know, they got their own goals, they got their own ambitions, and marketing is also a useful skill to have because you're going to need to be able to market for barbers. It's the same
mhm.
skill, right? But you're just targeting barbers instead of clients. So
Right.
I think it's hard to build a barbershop beyond one location, beyond $1 million in revenue without being able to market. You got to be able to find clients and you got to be able to find barbers.
Right.
Basically impossible to grow if you can't do that, those two skills. So
Gotcha.
what
So,
is
what would you say like for barbers? Like, even in the shop I work with, I work in right now. Like, he has, it's just been me and him, and there's room for 4 people. It's been me and him for like the last year and a half.
okay? Um,
Like, why is it so hard to find barbers?
I would say that it's probably like, why is it so hard to do a haircut? You know, like you just haven't
Mhm.
done it enough. It's a skill, you know? Just like
Okay.
your first haircut, your first 100 haircuts probably weren't that great. I know it was the case for me.
Yeah, yeah, for sure.
But by the time you get to 10,000 haircuts, I mean, it's starting to get like I could do this in my sleep, you know? So it's a skill that I don't really, especially recently, because this is one of the things that I learned. One of my biggest lessons of last year. I don't really believe that like good people are hard to find. I just think it's like you either have the skill or you don't, you know, because they're out there. You know, are you in a small town? Like, where are you at?
I'm in Las Cruces, New Mexico. So there's like maybe it's a college town. So when there is students here, it's about 120. But when there's not, 120,000. But when there's not, it could easily jump down to like 95,000.
So if all 95,000 people went to your barbershop, would you be able to handle that?
Oh Jesus, no.
So you only need like 1% of the entire city to come to you for you to never have a slow day again. So that's a
Right.
marketing problem, right? And we can solve that. But as far as barbers go, it's the same thing as clients. You know, you got to be able to get in front of them. You got to have a good offer. Like barbers are typically motivated by money in the beginning. Um, so just it's okay. How do I find them? Yeah. Is it a how is the shop structured where you work at?
It's structured booth rank,
Okay. And
and it's pretty competitive. I would say we genuinely have the nicest barbershop in town, like the nicest. It's upscale. We charge more than like the average barber, here in town, and I think that may discourage some barbers. Like, well, man, I can't up the price on my current clientele base and to relocate into a nicer location.
yeah, so I'm just
But
trying.
it's also New Mexico, so it's pretty cheap out here. So
What do you guys charge for a haircut?
50 for a haircut, 60 for beard.
Nice,
Haircut and beard.
nice.
I'd say
That's a
that's
good
the
price.
average right now, right?
Yeah, I'm at 45 for just a haircut, and then
Okay, great.
for haircut and beard depends on. We have two types of beard trims, but for our regular beard trim is 45. So we do, so it's 90 if you want a haircut and a beard.
Oh shit. Yeah, I see. Yeah, that's all right. Yeah.
So yeah, the way we do that, because I have a whole like pricing course in my owner group, but the basically it's we figured, okay, so if this takes 30 minutes, this is how much it costs for us to run our barbershop, and then we add a profit margin on top of that. So that's our price. So if it doesn't matter what the service is, we go off timing. So if a beard trim takes 30 minutes, it's going to cost the same as a haircut in our shop. Now, a lot of barbers
Right.
won't agree with me, but that's, hey, the clients know. It's not like we're fucking surprising them. It's like they see the prices on our website and they're
Let's
not
book
cool
it.
with it. Okay, well, don't book it, you know? But that's also why we have a like kind of a cheaper beard service. So we have a 15-minute option, which is half the price, and that one doesn't come with the razor or anything. And yeah, so if you
Just the
want if
trim.
you still want a beard but you don't want to spend 45, okay, book the $25 version. You know, we're just not gonna use a razor on you. You know? So we let the
Right,
clients
right.
choose, but like the price is based on what we need to run our business, not like what everybody else is doing or what we feel like we're worth. Like the price is that's what we have to charge.
Right, right. I like
Anyways,
that.
as far as like hiring barbers goes, it's really like a skill that takes some time to start seeing the results of this goes. Um, do you guys have a website?
We do, man, but it's shit. Like the current owner does nothing in terms of marketing, nothing, and the website is probably hasn't been touched in about 8 years.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
All right. So is that why? So you want to do your own thing, or you want to partner with
Yeah,
him,
so
or like what's the goal?
the goal is to actually buy this one from out from him within the next year, and then
Okay.
start from there.
Does
So,
he know that or
oh yeah, he's very familiar. Like he wants to out of it. Like he
okay?
because he's not
Perfect.
making any type of money, so he's just like he wants out of it.
All right. Awesome, man. So you got a potential opportunity to take over a shop. I mean, that's kind of how I started. You know, the shop was
Yeah,
already established. Well, not really. It was there. I wouldn't say it was
yeah.
established. It was like
It
six
was a
months old.
standing business.
Yeah, the people that I bought the shop from had just opened it and they realized we don't want to be barbershop owners pretty quickly. I found it on like Craigslist, and I bought it from them and I took it over, but it was basically a brand new shop. Like I built that thing from nothing. Um, but yeah, it's definitely easier starting a shop that's already been a shop than to start one that's brand new because
Right.
I mean construction is insane. Like um, market in you already have a sort of a reputation started, which helps for sure. And I brought clients with me when I came from where I was working to my shop, so that was I wouldn't have survived if those people hadn't followed me. So you don't have to worry about any of that if you just take over from him, which is great. The challenge I guess you have to have is there's this balance that you have to walk as a barbershop owner between marketing for clients, marketing for barbers,
Right.
because you have to be good at both, and it's just a matter of which one do I need to focus on right now, and that kind of depends on where you're at in the business. So if you're marketing a lot for clients, you're gonna have that. You're not gonna have that problem anymore of like slow days, you know. But then you're gonna have a new problem, which is like I need more barbers. I can't keep up with all these clients coming in. So,
Hmm.
so then you shift the focus to marketing for barbers. And the cool thing about marketing for clients is that other barbers see that because you're just
Right.
the way I set up my ads is like if you're a guy in Jacksonville where I'm at, you're gonna see our ads. So any barber that's a dude is also seeing our ads, right? So when you start getting good at marketing for clients, other barbers see that.
It's kind of like a double-edged sword. It works both ways, right?
Yeah, yeah.
Gotcha.
So even without directly targeting barbers, they're seeing our ads, you know. But we also
Would,
directly
would
target barbers with some of our ads too.
would you say that you intentionally have someone take on some of the responsibilities when you start opening multiple locations?
You mean like having
Like,
managers?
yeah, exactly.
Yeah, for sure. That's the only way you can do it.
Okay.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
Yeah, I mean, it's good to maybe start thinking about that now, but I wouldn't hire a manager until it gets to that point where you have to start to think about it. You start just tracking how you're spending your time and what you're spending your time on, and then you have to get at a certain point. You have to get to the point where it's like these things are not a good use of my time, and then you start looking at your team like who would be a good manager, who would be good at these tasks, right? But you start with the tasks first because sometimes you build a job around people, and it's like no, when you build a job around like what the business needs, what you need done, and then you find the person that can do that. But yeah, like the managers, they basically handle everything. Like they do the schedule, they order inventory, they meet with the barbers. I mean, I handle everything else, but they take care of like the day to day stuff, you know. And it's so that I don't have to be there, you know, because if you're required to run the business, then the business isn't super valuable, you know. And it's probably way too early to start thinking about it. But well, really, it's never too early to start thinking about this stuff. But the reason to open a business, there's only two reasons, right? It's either going to pass it on to your kids, or you're going to sell it one day. So if a goal is to sell it, then you got to build it so that other people would want to buy it, and that means that you have to build it so that people that you don't necessarily have to be there, because that's not very attractive to a potential acquirer. It's like, well, if I take you out of the business doesn't work anymore, you know?
Mm-hmm.
I thought of an analogy about this the other day because it's kind of like real estate. Like the house that I own is just as valuable without me because it doesn't need me, right? So the value is pretty clear. Like somebody can buy the house and take me off the title. The house is still as valuable. But
Right.
a lot of times we as business owners don't build our business with that mindset. Like you have to build it eventually. Not now. I made that mistake of doing this too early. But eventually, like years from now, my goal is like the business doesn't need me at all. Like I could go take a 6-month vacation, I can come back and the business would have grown in that time.
Right.
And that's what you should strive for, I think, as an owner. But in the beginning, you're doing everything. You're not going to be able to afford to hire people to do all these things for you. But the goal is to get there, you know?
Right.
So,
Understood.
yeah.
And would you say you got to that point after opening multiple barbershops?
I mean, I'm still not there now. You know, I do a lot. I do a lot for the business. It's just that your job as an owner is to do whatever the business needs, and the job just changes over time. You know,
Yeah.
like in the beginning, you're barbering and you're also doing like everything else. And then it's like a dial, I think, not a switch. So you just start dialing back slowly the things that don't grow the business, that aren't good uses of your time. So I'm going to devote less time to that, or I'm going to stop doing some of those things and let somebody else take that over so that I am free to do the other stuff, you know?
Yeah. And what would you say booth rent versus commission? Like, what's your take on that?
I don't think it matters, you know, like I did commission because that's what I was used to. That's what I was on. And my goal was to have multiple locations. And I didn't want to cut hair. Like, I didn't even want to be a barber. I wanted to just be a barbershop owner. But I learned to cut hair because I wanted to be able to cut hair if, like, all my barbers quit. I could keep the shop open. Turns out that happened. So that's why I'm still here. So being able to cut hair and being a barber, I think is a good idea. If you want to open a barbershop, not required. But you have to have a pretty good system if you don't want to cut hair. And I just also look at the biggest businesses in our industry, the biggest barbershops, the biggest salons, right? The biggest everything, you know? And I look at what they do too, and I just model them because that's my goal, to grow there. But if your goal is just to like make $100,000 or more a year and you want just like as little headache as possible, then booth rent's probably better for that. But I don't think there's a right or wrong way, you know?
Gotcha.
It all comes from what is the goal, you know. My goal is,
Gotcha.
I don't know, 100
Would
locations more,
if you
so
are
that
gonna
it's
go
going to be
booth
hard to
rent,
do that.
if you are gonna go booth rent, would you say you would correlate the booth rent price and like in the market of how much your overhead is?
Yeah, for sure. Just like any business. I mean, to be honest, like I've never done booth rent, so
Mhm.
I'm just guessing here, right? But
Yeah, that makes sense.
if I were to do booth rent, there's this rule in real estate that I liked with multifamily properties. So where, let's say you have 4 units, you would want to be able to pay all of the expenses, everything for that property with just 2 of the units being occupied.
Oh
So
shit.
yeah, so it's called like the 50% rule or something. Um, so if I ran a booth rent shop, that's probably what I would do. I would try to set it up so that like everything could be covered with just half the chairs being occupied, and then you work backwards from there. You know, okay, what does that look like rent wise? But I
Gotcha.
don't know.
No,
I'm
no,
not a
no,
booth
no.
rent
It's
guy,
not. It sounds
so
great. Very smooth.
but that's what I would do because based on my experience, very difficult to have all the chairs occupied all the time. So I would not plan a strategy based on that, you know? And I would also take
Gotcha.
your income out of it. Like because if the goal is to build multiple locations, then you can't build your like projections and stuff based on you contributing, you know. That's just extra.
Mm-hmm.
Like I don't I work 3 days a week in the shop, like part time, like 20 hours. So like what I contribute is like I could stop cutting hair and it wouldn't really make a difference in the business. Um, which I think for me that's my goal. Like I do want to stop cutting hair, so I want to plan the business around the fact that like I'm not cutting hair, and I think that it would be smart for you to do the same. So like
Gotcha.
without what you make, can the business sustain itself with just like let's say half the chairs being occupied. You
Okay,
know,
gotcha. That makes sense.
yeah,
In your program, do you guys have like a like you kind of like the direction of ads and like Google ads and things like that? Like,
yeah.
yeah.
I'm gonna be filming a course actually in like an hour
Okay.
about how to run Google or how to run Facebook ads. It was
Okay.
Facebook and Meta, Facebook and Instagram. Because right now that's our primary acquisition method. I don't spend money anywhere else except for Meta. I may start experimenting with Google in the future, but it's like if something's working, you know, I just put more into that. I'm not gonna try to like get fancy and like try something new because we tried
Don't
like
venture off until you need to, right?
yeah, I've tried like almost every marketing tactic you can think of. Um, so far, nothing works better for what I've tried than Meta. So
I need to make a Facebook then.
yeah, and what I do is kind of a little bit more advanced, but like there's some simple stuff that you know we'll cover in the course that like you just here's how to get it going. You know, here's how to
Mhm.
create a basic ad. But like the hard part is tracking the return on investment. You know, like this is how much, but it's also the most important part. You know that it's okay. You great, you got an ad going. That's awesome. But now, like, how do you know if it's working? Is what a lot of people forget about. You know, like this is how much I put in, and then how much did it make me? You know, and it's a little bit tougher to do that with a like a brick and mortar business like we have because somebody might see your ad and then they just like walk in. You know, like you don't know that that was like attributed to
Oh
that
yeah,
sale.
with
You know.
mine, with mine it's easy because I'm just an individual, so I can kind of give someone a third degree. Oh, how'd you hear about me? Oh, okay. Well, what particular post did you see or
Yeah.
something? But obviously that's just Instagram, you know.
Yeah. No, and but yeah, that's hard. That's one of the things that makes it harder when you have a team. You know, because they might forget to ask. Like, oh, like you could tell them like, hey, make sure to ask every new client how you heard about us, but they might just forget, right? Or
Right, right.
sometimes the clients don't even know how they heard about you too. Like, because it usually takes somebody a few times of seeing an ad before they
Like
like,
the billboard method, yeah,
yeah.
I've heard that.
So they might have originally saw your ad on Instagram or whatever, but then when you ask them how they heard about you, they're like Google. I'm like, okay, whatever. You know, so that's why we have stuff set up on the back end. Like our booking system is tied to our ads, so that we can see like this is how many people clicked on the ad, and that turned into this much appointments booked.
Okay,
And even that's not 100% accurate because again, like not everybody clicks on the ad, but like the more accurate you can get that, the better. Because then you know which ads are working. It's okay. I'm going to turn these off. I'm going to turn the budget up on these. You know, it's the only way. It's like the way every serious marketer operates. Like you got to know how your ads are doing, so that you know which ones to put more into and which ones to turn off. You know.
Understood. I'm definitely gonna join the program. You know, I understand that it's kind of like more of like a for barbershop owners, but would it be okay for me to join it still, even though I'm aspiring to own a shop?
Yeah,
Rather than
I don't
yeah.
think everybody in the group is an owner. And I definitely am contemplating, you know, like originally it was for just barbers, like, or anybody really. But then I started realizing like most of the people that are joining the group or interested in joining the group are owners. So I started catering it more towards owners.
Okay.
But anybody that's a barber can benefit from being in the group because it's just like everything applies. It's just you're just doing it for yourself, you know. But there's some
Mm-hmm.
advanced stuff that might not be like
Kind of like
might
what
not
you
be ready
said.
for yet. You know, like creating a membership program and all these things that maybe will happen later. But like everything in this group, everything else, like most of it applies, and will definitely apply if you end up taking over that shop from the owner.
Yeah, kind of like what you said earlier about the marketing. I feel like if I were to market myself in a in an aspect of different variations, like using Meta and things like that, people will see it and be like, "All right, look how he did for himself. Now that he's an owner, I know he could do that." Like onto me, like the water overfilled on his cup so much that it's definitely gonna pour onto others. You know?
Yeah, I mean, like the first step is fill your chair, and then you're gonna get to a point where, and this is what I did. You know, I just I started by myself. You know, it was just me in the shop, and I tried hiring people, but I was like, it just didn't work out, right? So I'm just like, I'm just gonna do it myself, and then I'm not gonna bring anybody on until like there's more clients coming in than I can handle. And when you get to that point, then you hire somebody, and then the process starts over. You know, except now you have to worry about keeping your chair full, but also filling their chair.
Got you.
Yeah, and it's just always back and forth like that. Like I'm I'm too busy. I need to hire a barber. Okay, now you hire a barber, but now it's like, okay, now we got to get them full, and then you go back to marketing, and then you get too busy again, so you hire another barber, and then yeah, it's just frustratingly simple. Not easy though to build a
Like
barbershop,
that.
but it's really just that. Like it's just marketing. You're either marketing for clients or marketing for barbers, but you should always be doing one of those things if the goal is
Understood.
to grow.
Awesome. I appreciate that one, man. Awesome. Definitely. I don't believe I followed you prior to seeing your ads.
Oh yeah. Okay. Cool. Yeah. I
So,
mean,
so
that's what's.
it worked.
I think that's what a lot of people don't realize. Is like the things that I do to build the group are the same exact things that I do to build the barbershop. So
Understood.
I run ads,
Awesome.
I do content. Um, I started with cold outreach, just DMing people one on one. So I know that shit works. You know.
Straight guerrilla marketing, huh?
Yeah, a lot of it's free though. It just takes time. When it comes to marketing, you can either spend time or money. So at a certain point, I think you run out of time, and that's when you got to spend money. You know, so that's why I focus on
Definitely.
paid stuff because I don't spend a lot of time like marketing. But there, some people don't have money, so okay, well you got to do something. So you got to spend
Right.
time. You know.
And later on, and keep me in mind if later on, like in the program, like it's expanding so much, like you have like you're the commission guy, you have a booth rent guy, and then be like, oh yeah, and then we also have a guy that'll help you edit content. Like, man, I can definitely see something like that being a realm in your thing, like. But
I
if
yeah,
not,
I would love to have other people besides me because I don't. That's what I don't want people to think that I just know everything. Like I'm very good at like a few specific things, but like when it comes to like other stuff, like you could probably teach me a lot about content, you know? And that's cool
Right.
because there's people that join the group that have questions about content. I'm like, I don't know, I don't do content, you know, like
Yeah, yeah.
I do ads, you know. But if you want content, I'm not the guy. But like in the future, I want to have like an expert for everything, you know.
Right.
Like you're the booth rent guy, you're the content guy, but and I'm the paid ads guy. But if you want to like, you know, I don't know.
Yeah.
I think
I
that'd be
just had
really
a
cool to
video
have
paid
a
yesterday too, man, or day before yesterday. Right now, that shit's like at 26 like thousand views, like no ads, nothing. I'm like, damn, finally. So hopefully that'll hold, hold me. But it sucks.
yeah.
Editing sucks.
That's great, man. That's a very valuable skill, very valuable. Yeah. Paid ads kind of are almost like a way to make up for not having that skill because you can kind of guarantee that this is going to get in front of people, and that's the way a lot of platforms work nowadays. It's like pay to play.
Mm-hmm.
But man, if you can get organic reach with no money, I mean that's very valuable. The challenge is, and this is why I'm not a huge fan of organic social media, is like how do I get in front of people that would actually get a haircut from me, you know?
That's the hard part. Yeah.
Yeah. So there's some strategies I think that'll help. But yeah, you have that a great skill already. I think it's just about making it so like okay, how do I make it so that only people in Los Cruces, New Mexico,
Mm-hmm.
see this,
Mm-hmm.
you know? Um, so you could probably take one of those high performing pieces of content and run it as an
Mm-hmm.
ad because you already know it works, right?
Right.
And you already did the hard part, which is what most barbers don't do, which is making the content.
Mm-hmm.
But you can supercharge it by like, okay, I'm gonna run that post that did really well as an ad, and so that
That's
way
fun.
people in your area see it, and because those are the ones that are gonna actually come in and you know
Yeah,
pay you,
absolutely.
you know.
Yeah, awesome, man. Well, I'm gonna make a Facebook and then I'll check out the group here in a bit, and then I'm definitely gonna get on it. Like I said,
Yeah, the
I'm shooting
first
I'm
step
shooting for something pretty big.
first step is you gotta make a Facebook business page, and then link it to your Instagram. Your Instagram has to be set up as a business page. So I don't know if you're set up as a creator or not, but if it is,
It's set up as a creator, so it's set up
well,
as a business.
well, hold on that. But you for sure need a business Facebook business page, but you might be
Mhm.
able to link it being a creator on Instagram. I gotta check on
Okay,
that.
understood.
And then
I'll let you know if it works.
in the next few weeks, we're going to be releasing that course about how to run paid ads. So that'll be on the lookout for that.
Yeah, you got it, my man. I appreciate it, my man. I'll definitely be in touch with you soon, and I'll book onboarding sometime within the next week or so.
Yeah, man. Sounds good. Welcome to
Awesome.
the
All
group.
right, Alex. Yeah, I'm doing, man.
You too. Thank you.
Thanks.
All right, bye.